This video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial from my group on how to cut this stylish double collar blazer with an asymmetric hemline. Now to start for this pattern, I'm going to go ahead to draft it in a smaller or miniature size because I'm going to do a lot of explanation at the front part of this dress. So to start drafting, here is the back pattern, which I've gone ahead to mark my shoulder to bust line. Next is the shoulder to waist line. Please go ahead to measure your shoulder to waist at the front and also your shoulder at the waist at the back, right? Now, after that, I'm going to be using this for my blouse length. Go ahead to pick any blouse length of your choice. Now, I'll go ahead to draw out a straight line at those points. The upper part of my pattern, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half. So we're marking this on the miniature size. Just use that as my measurement. Come down by 1 inch for your shoulder slope. At the back, please go ahead to mark a basic neckline of 3 inches and then 1 inch for the depth of the neckline of the back. Now extend this all the way to the zipper of this dress. For your zipper, you can use 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Now connect from this point all the way to the shoulder. Go ahead to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So let's say this is what I have for the chest line. Place your ruler and draw a straight line. Now, whatever measurement you have at the shoulder, you also want to go ahead to mark it at the chest line. And all your measurements should start after the zipper of the dress. Place your ruler and draw a straight line. So after you're done marking that, you're going to go ahead to place your ruler, divide what you have here into 2 equal parts, come out by ½ inch, and after that you're going to mark your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Now after you're done marking, I'm just going to connect this ½ inch all the way up and also connect this all the way to the chest line of the pattern. So for the back pattern, it is very easy. All you have to do is to go ahead to mark your dart. Now to mark your dart, you're going to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2. Now I'm going to be marking this all the way to the lower part of my pattern. After I'm done marking this, I'm just going to go ahead to place my ruler and I will draw out a straight line at this point, connecting those marks I made at the bust, waist, and blouse length. Now, to mark that, I'll be using ½ inch on both sides of my pattern. I'll connect this all the way up and also connect this at the other side. Now after I'm done connecting, I'm going to extend this up and also at the other side. The next step you want to take is to go ahead to insert your measurement. All your measurement is starting after the zipper line. Go ahead to mark your bust circumference divided by 4 and add your sewing allowance. Mark your waist circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. Here, go ahead to mark your hip circumference divided by 4. Add your sewing allowance. Now, I'm going to go ahead to connect. This dress is in form of a blazer dress and you don't need much sewing allowance when you're making a blazer dress. Now at the lower part, I'll add 1.5 to 2 inches extension and reconnect it to the waist. If you look at the dress at the lower part, it's as if it has like a pointy tip there. So I went up by 1.5 inches from here, then reconnect it all the way to the lower part of this dress this way. Now at the waist, mark ½ inch. You're going to extend this down and also take it up. So this way, you're trying to take out the zipper bulge on your dress. After this, I'm just going to go ahead to take the measurement I have on the neckline of this dress from the neckline to the zipper. This is very important because you'll be needing this to draft out the neckline area of this dress. That is the collar area. Now I'll just go ahead to cut this out. So after cutting this, we'll go ahead to cut out the front pattern of this dress. The back pattern is a basic pattern. All you have to do is to just go ahead to sew up your dart at the back. The whole drama is at the front of this dress. Now for the front, that neckline that we measured, so you're going to mark it on top of your pattern this way. Now from here, I'm going to mark the shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust and the shoulder to waistline for my front measurement, then use the ending part of this pattern as the blouse length. After that, I'll go ahead to rule a line at all these lines that I made, and I'll go ahead to label it as bust, under bust, waist, blouse length, and at the top I have the starting line. So after marking this, I'll go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2 plus half, because this dress has a sleeve. Then come down by 1 inch, and from there I'll mark a basic neckline of 3 inches. From that 1 inch I marked, I'm going to connect it all the way to the neckline. Next, I'll still find my chest line, which is the bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Now, I'll place my ruler and draw a straight line at that point. After marking this, I'm going to go ahead to place my ruler back there, and I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2 plus half again. This dress has a sleeve, so you're going to attach your sleeve to this dress. That is why you're adding ½ inch there. Now, divide your armhole into 2 equal parts, come out by ½ inch. On the chest line, mark your bust circumference divided by 4. I'm going to connect from the upper part to the midpoint and to the chest line of this pattern. After I'm done marking this, I'm going to start by marking my dart for the lower part. I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches. So let's take this as the 3.5 inches, and from the midpoint of your armhole, connect it to your bust point. Now, after connecting, here mark ½ inch and mark 1.5 inches here. But if you're on the bigger size or you're a bit busty, you're going to mark 1 inch in front and then 2 inches at the side of this pattern. After you're done marking that, go ahead to place your ruler to connect from the under bust to the waist and down to the blouse length. Now connect from the under bust to the bust area this way. Now this is what I have for my pattern now, and I'll be marking ½ inch on both sides of this pattern. Now I'll go ahead to blend it towards the bust area of this pattern, right? And also blend out the other part. After blending out this ½ inch on both sides, which is 1 inch, extend it to the lower part and connect. This is because when you're joining a princess dart by the side, when you're joining it, the side part tends to be a bit shorter. Now insert your measurement. At the bust area, you're going to mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Now go ahead to measure this dart intake, and you're going to replace it by the side. If you don't want to, you can go ahead to leave it and add your sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. Mark the waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. Mark your hip circumference divided by 4, then measure the dart intake, replace, then add your sewing allowance. Now, remember we added extra 1.5 to 2 inches at the side. Go ahead to replace that for the front also. Now, I'll just go ahead to connect. The reason why you're adding this extra 1.5 inches or 2 inches by the side, you can use any one, either 1.5 or 2 inches. If you look at this dress by the side, it looks like it's a bit pointy, like giving that flare effect at that side. Now I will go ahead mark my bust dart. Now to get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. If you minus 15.5 from 17, what you're going to have is 1.5. So that is how I got the bust dart, my actual bust dart, which is 1.5. So next, I'm just going to go ahead to cut out my pattern. Then go ahead to trace out all these measurements on the other side of my pattern. So this is what I have. Now I'm just going to go ahead to mark out the neckline, which is 3 inches, and from this point now I'm supposed to blend this all the way to this line here. Follow that straight line, but I went in a bit. So when you're drafting yours, please let it match this particular line, like follow it straight. So from here I'll connect this back to the neckline of my dress. Now we are going to mark the collar. Remember that measurement you took at the back, you're going to mark it straight up from the collar, from the neckline of the front. After taking it up, I'll come out by 1/2 inch and I will reconnect it back to the pattern. The reason why I came out by 1/2 inch at the back is to make sure that the collar relaxes well at the back neckline. So now for the thickness of this collar, you can determine that. Let's say I'm using 3 inches at this point, right? And I'll mark. Now you have to pay attention because here is the tricky part of this collar. Now I'll start going down to the center part of my pattern, right? So from here I will go up. While going up, I'll make it a little curvy. So from here now, from the neckline, I'll start going down. So while going down, I'm going to make it like slant it. I'll slant it up a bit. Now from whatever I have from here to here should be within 2 inches to 1.5. So I'll just go ahead to take this down, like curve it down this way, right? So after I'm done curving this way, what I'll do is to go ahead to cut this out. After cutting this, I'll still go ahead to readjust this area so that it will match what I'm working with. Like it will match up the neckline of what I'm trying to draft. So I'll just go ahead to blend here very well so that it won't be curvy. So if you're not okay with what you have, you can readjust. So I went ahead to like readjust this area to suit what or how the neckline of this dress is. So I'll just chop this up and I'll be adding additional pattern paper to this pattern, right? So that extension in front at the upper part of this dress will go over to the back of this dress. That is the neckline of the back pattern, and this is what you have. So it's not looking exactly like what we have here. So what I'll do is to go ahead to readjust it a bit. So I added another pattern paper underneath it and I traced this out, then go ahead to cut it out. So this is what I have here now, and after this, for the shorter collar on top, you'll be using this main collar or main pattern you traced out or cut out to trace that part out. So if I blend this part out, that is the part going to the back neckline, this is what I have at this point. So there's always room to readjust the neckline if you're not still okay with it before going ahead to transfer your pattern to your main fabric, right? So now, just like I said, for the neckline of or the collar area, you're going to use the main pattern to cut that out. So you just go ahead to trace out something that is slightly smaller than the initial collar. So after cutting out your pattern, you just chop out the collar area of this dress and use it to cut out the second collar. So this second collar now, you're going to turn it up and then attach it underneath this collar. That is, go ahead to place it and stitch it down at this part so that when you flip it over this way, it's going to relax on top of this first collar. So I'll go up here by 1.5 inches, and after that I'll just go ahead to blend out my darts and I'll curve this out very well. So I had to like fold the center back so that I'll cut out exactly what I want here. So I'll just go ahead to chop this off. So after cutting this, we are going to work on the basque area of this dress. So now just mark these buttons to indicate. So from here now, I'll go ahead to connect, to mark the center. And from this center now, you go up a bit to create like a slight basque on your dress. And after marking this, so this is why I said at this side, maintain the side of this like pattern. Do not come in by 1/2 inch. So what I'll do now is to go ahead to cut this out, right? So you also notice at the front part of this pattern, there's a part that is overlapping it this way, right? So you can use this pattern here. All you have to do is chop out a little at the center to create space, right? Or you can just chop this out entirely and you'll be attaching it back to the center of this dress. So that part, you flip it towards the other side of your pattern after you're done joining, right? It's going to relax on each side. So now for this pattern, you're going to cut out 2 pieces for this. one will be at the other side. Let's say this ruler is the other pattern, that one will be underneath this pattern. The only difference is probably that one will not have like a basque. You can cut it out straight so that it can help the basque area of the center one, the one that will be on top, for it to relax, right? Cut out two pattern, one will have a basque and the other one you can just chop it out from this point so that it's not going to make it difficult for it to relax at the center, and it's not going to have this overlap. Like that one underneath will not have this overlap that we have on the first pattern. So after this, I'll just go ahead to cut this out. If you have any question, please kindly go ahead to ask. So I'll just chop this out. Just like I said, you can trace it out and attach it back to the dress, or you can go ahead to leave it on that dress. Now going to the collar, just like I said, you can go ahead, after cutting one side, you turn your pattern this way and cut the other side. The only difference is one will have like a basque, or you can cut out the same thing if you don't want to shorten one part. So for the collar at the upper part of this dress, so after cutting your pattern, trace out a little collar on top of your main pattern and trace it out this way. Now you're going to turn it with your lining or your fabric, and then you're going to attach it at this point this way, like place it and attach it, and it will now be on top of the main collar.